They told me I'd die out here. That humans don't belong in the Outer Fringe. That we're too soft, too emotional, too damn sentimental to survive in a galaxy that doesn't give a shit about feelings. Maybe they were right. Maybe I should have died in that bunker on Kelrath 9 with the rest of my unit, but I didn't. And the reason I'm still breathing, still moving through this frozen hellscape with a dying alien princess on my back, is because I made a promise. Not to command, not to Earth, to her. And if there's one thing humans are good at, one thing that makes us dangerous in ways the galaxy hasn't figured out yet, it's that we keep our promises, even when it kills us. The snow tears at my face like glass. My exosuit stopped regulating temperature 6 hours ago. The wound in my side keeps reopening every time I adjust her weight. And Princess Skaresh, third daughter of the Vraxian Imperial House, heir to 17 conquered systems, keeps whispering the same words into my ear. Please don't take me back. Please. I don't answer. I just keep walking. 3 days ago, I was Corps Sergeant Marcus Webb, assigned to the 47th Marine Expeditionary Unit, stationed at Firebase Gamma on the edge of Vraxian space. We weren't supposed to be there. Officially, humans had no presence in that sector. Unofficially, we were watching, waiting. The Vraxian Empire had been expanding for 2 centuries, swallowing colonies, enslaving species, turning entire star systems into factory worlds. They hadn't touched human space yet, but they would. Everyone knew they would. So we watched. The firebase was small. 43 Marines, 2 intelligence officers, 1 maintenance crew. We lived in prefab bunkers buried into a moon that didn't even have a name, just a designation, by 447. Dead rock. No atmosphere, no strategic value. Perfect for hiding. I'd been there 8 months, long enough to know every face, every voice. Long enough to hate the recycled air and the protein paste, and the 18-hour shifts monitoring Vraxian fleet movements, long enough to start wondering if I'd ever see Earth again, or if I even wanted to. Then came the distress signal. It was Vraxian military frequency, encrypted, but our AI cracked it in 40 seconds. A Priority 1 evacuation request, Imperial transport under attack, escort destroyed, requesting immediate extraction. Coordinates were close. Too close, inside the debris field of what used to be a Vraxian supply station. Lieutenant Hayes wanted to ignore it. Not our fight, he said. Let them die. But Command had other ideas. They wanted intelligence. They wanted prisoners. They wanted leverage. So they sent me. Just me. 1 human, 1 drop pod, 1 chance to grab a Vraxian officer and disappear before anyone noticed. It should have been simple. The transport was dying when I reached it. Plasma fire had carved through the hull. Bodies drifted in the vacuum. Most were soldiers, Vraxian Imperial Guard, judging by the armor. The kind of troops you don't see unless someone very important is aboard. I moved through the wreckage carefully, magnetically anchored to the hull, scanning for survivors. That's when I found her. She was in what must have been the command deck. Sealed emergency chamber, the only part of the ship still holding atmosphere. She was slumped against a wall, 1 clawed hand pressed against her side where purple blood seeped through her environmental suit. Vraxians are reptilian, scales like armor plating, eyes that see in spectrums humans can't. Cold-blooded in more ways than one, their empire was built on the principle that emotion is weakness, that mercy is failure, that the strong devour the weak. She looked up when I entered, those golden eyes fixed on me, and I saw something I didn't expect. Fear. "Stay back," she hissed. Her voice was doubled by the translator in her suit. Vraxian vocal cords produce sounds humans can't replicate. "I am Princess Skaresh of the—" "I know who you are," I said. I'd seen her file. Every intelligence officer in the sector had. Third daughter, military commander, led the assault on the Kelly's colonies. 20 million dead. She was young by Vraxian standards, maybe 30 solar cycles. That made her roughly my age. She tried to stand. Couldn't. The wound in her side was worse than I thought. "You're human," she said. The way she said it. Like an insult. Like disbelief. "Humans aren't supposed to be here." "Neither are you, apparently." She bared her teeth, rows of them, predator's teeth. "If you've come to capture me, you're a fool. My fleet will—" "Your fleet is gone," I said. I'd seen the debris. 12 ships, all destroyed. Whatever happened here wasn't a battle. It was an execution. And if I wanted to capture you, you'd already be unconscious. I'm here because Command thinks you're worth something alive." She laughed. It was a terrible sound. Bitter. Broken. "Then Command is wrong." I moved closer. She tensed. Her hand went to her sidearm, but she was too weak to draw it. I knelt beside her, examining the wound. Plasma burn. Deep. Cauterized on the outside, but still bleeding internally. She'd die if I didn't get her to medical. "I can help," I said. "Why would you?" Good question. I thought about the Kelly's colonies, about the reports of Vraxian occupation forces, about the species they'd exterminated because they were inefficient, about the files I'd read of entire populations being converted into biofuel because it was economically optimal. I looked at her face, at the fear, at the pain, at the way her hand trembled. "Because you're bleeding," I said. She stared at me like I'd spoken in a language her translator couldn't process. "You would save an enemy." "I'd save someone who needs help." "That's weakness." "Maybe." I pulled a medical kit from my pack, military grade. Human design. It wouldn't be perfect for Vraxian physiology, but it'd keep her alive. "You can die of strength if you want, or you can let me stop the bleeding." She was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, she moved her hand away from the wound. I worked quickly, foam sealant first, to stop the internal bleeding, then synthetic tissue patches, then a broad-spectrum painkiller that might or might not work on her biology. She hissed when I applied pressure. Her claws dug into the deck plating, but she didn't pull away. "Your name," she said through gritted teeth. "Webb. Marcus Webb." "Marcus Webb." She tested the syllables. "Why are you alone?" "Because I'm expendable." "You volunteered for this." It wasn't a question. She was reading me. Vraxians were good at that. They'd evolved as pack hunters, social predators. They could read body language, micro-expressions, pheromone signatures, made them terrifying in close combat. "Yeah," I said. "I did." "Why?" "Someone had to." She made that bitter sound again, not quite a laugh. "Humans, always martyrs, always dying for nothing. We're still here, aren't we?" "For now." I finished the field dressing. It wouldn't hold forever, but it'd give us time. "Can you walk?" She tried, couldn't. Her legs gave out. I caught her before she hit the deck. She was heavier than she looked. Vraxian bone density was double that of humans. Made them stronger, faster, harder to kill. "I'll carry you," I said. "No." Her voice was sharp. "I am a princess of the Vraxian." "You're bleeding out on a dead ship in the middle of nowhere," I said. "And if we don't move now, we're both dead. So save the royal dignity for later and let me do my job." She stared at me, those golden eyes burning with something I couldn't identify. Then, slowly, she nodded. I got her over my shoulder. She was heavy but manageable. The exosuit servos took most of the weight. We made it back to my drop pod without incident. No signs of pursuit. Whoever attacked her transport was long gone. The pod was cramped with both of us inside. I strapped her into the passenger harness and started the pre-launch sequence. That's when she spoke again. "They'll kill me if you take me back." I paused. "Who?" "My family. My empire. Everyone." Her voice was flat, empty. That's why they attacked. Not pirates, not enemies, my own fleet. I turned to look at her. Why? She closed her eyes. Because I asked the wrong questions. The pod launched. Smooth acceleration. We cleared the debris field in minutes. I set course for Firebase Gamma, ETA 4 hours. I should have called it in, should have reported, should have done a dozen things by the book. Instead, I looked at her. What questions? She didn't answer for a long time, just stared at the bulkhead. When she spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. Why do we fight? What is the purpose of all this conquest? All this death? She opened her eyes, looked at me. Oki, is this what civilization means? Is this what we're building? I didn't have an answer for that. The flight was quiet after that. I monitored her vitals. They stabilized. The human medical tech was working. Against all odds, she was going to live long enough to be interrogated, long enough to be used as a bargaining chip, long enough to be whatever command decided she was worth. We were 30 minutes from Firebase Gamma when everything went to hell. The warning system screamed, 6 contacts, closing fast, Vraxian interceptors, they'd found us. How? I didn't know, didn't matter. We were outgunned, outmatched. The drop pod had minimal weapons, no shields. We were dead. I changed course. Dove toward the nearest planetary body. Ice world. Y451. No colonies. No infrastructure. Just frozen wasteland. If we could make it to the surface, maybe we could hide. Maybe. The interceptors opened fire. Plasma rounds tore through space. My pod's armor ablated. Systems failed. We were coming in too fast, too steep. This wasn't a landing, it was a crash. Brace, I shouted. The impact was violent. We hit ice, skipped, hit again. The pod tore apart around us. I felt ribs crack, felt my head slam against something hard, felt the world turn into noise and pain and cold. Then nothing. I woke up in snow. My HUD was dead. My comms were dead. My exosuit was leaking hydraulic fluid and barely holding together. I tasted blood. Everything hurt. I found her 10 meters away, still breathing, still alive. The crash had torn her free of the harness. She should have been dead. But Vraxians are tough, built for survival. I crawled to her, checked her wounds. The field dressing had held. Barely. I got her onto my back, started moving. Away from the crash site, away from the wreckage. The interceptors would land, would search, would find us if we stayed. So I walked and kept walking. That was 3 days ago. Now we're somewhere in the ice wastes of Y451. No extraction, no rescue, no hope. Just snow and wind and cold, and a Vraxian princess who keeps whispering the same words. Please don't take me back. I still don't answer, but I'm starting to understand why. We find shelter in an ice cave just before nightfall. On Y451, night means temperatures that would freeze exposed flesh in seconds. My suit's heating is running on emergency reserves. Won't last much longer. I lay Skaresh down on the cave floor as gently as I can. She's unconscious. Has been for the last 2 hours. That's probably better. Less pain, less questions. I start a fire with chemical heat tabs from my survival kit. It's not much. Won't do anything for the temperature. But the light helps. Makes the darkness feel less absolute. Makes it easier to pretend we're not dying slowly in the ass end of nowhere. I check her wounds again. The field dressing is holding, but infection is setting in. I can see it in the discoloration around the edges. Purple blood turning black. Vraxian physiology is different from human, but decay is universal. She needs real medical attention. Antibiotics, surgery, things I can't give her. I give her another dose of painkillers instead. It's all I have. Then I sit down against the cave wall and try to think. My options are limited. The drop pod's emergency beacon was destroyed in the crash. My suit's comms are fried. Firebase Gamma is 700 kilometers north. Maybe. I lost my bearings on day 2. Could be more, could be less. Either way, it's too far to walk. Not in this cold, not with her weight, not with my injuries. We're stranded. I should leave her. Logic says, take what supplies I can carry and head north. Travel light, travel fast. Maybe I'd make it. Probably not. But maybe. I look at her. Even unconscious, even dying. There's something dignified about her. The way she holds herself. The set of her jaw. Vraxians are raised from birth to be predators, warriors, leaders. No weakness, no mercy, no compromise. And yet she'd begged me not to take her back. What kind of empire makes its own princess afraid to go home? She wakes suddenly, eyes snapping open, hand reaching for a weapon that's no longer there. I see the panic, the disorientation, then recognition. Easy, I say. You're safe. She looks around the cave, at the chemical fire, at me. Where are we? About 300 kilometers from where we crashed. Maybe, hard to tell in this terrain. She tries to sit up. I move to help her. She doesn't push me away. Progress. Sort of. She leans against the cave wall, breathing hard. The movement costs her. How long was I unconscious? 2 hours. My wounds. Infected. I'm doing what I can, but you're human. She finishes. Your medicine isn't designed for my biology. Yeah. She nods slowly. Accepts it. How long do I have? Straight to the point. No fear in her voice. Just calculation. Typical Vraxian. 2 days, I say. Maybe 3 if we're lucky. And you? I look down at my suit, at the cracked seals, the failing systems, the wound in my side that keeps bleeding. About the same. She's quiet for a moment. Then, you should leave me. Not happening. Why not? I'm dead weight. I'm your enemy. I'm worth nothing to you now. You're injured. That's not a reason. It is for me. She stares at me, those golden eyes trying to understand. This is what your training teaches, to die for enemies? My training teaches me not to leave people behind. I am not your people. You're a person, I say. That's enough. She makes that sound again, that bitter not laugh. Humans, your entire species is insane. Probably. We would never do this. If positions were reversed, I would leave you to die without hesitation. I know. Then why? I don't have a good answer. Not one that would make sense to her. How do you explain humanity to a species that bred compassion out of themselves? That treats empathy as a genetic defect. Because someone has to, I say finally. Because if everyone always makes the cold calculation, the efficient choice, the logical decision, then what's the point? What are we building? What's worth protecting? She's quiet for a long time. When she speaks, her voice is different, softer. Those were my questions, the ones that got me marked for death. I wait, let her talk. She needs to. I can see it in the way she holds herself, the weight of it. I was raised in the Imperial Palace on Vraxis Prime, she says, trained from birth, strategy, combat, leadership. I was taught that our empire is the pinnacle of civilization, that we bring order to chaos, that the weak exist to serve the strong, that mercy is poison. She looks at her clawed hands. I believed it, all of it. I led campaigns, conquered worlds, killed without hesitation. I was a good soldier, a good princess. I did what was expected. What changed? Kelrath 9, she says quietly. My blood goes cold. Kelrath 9. The bunker. My unit. You were there, she continues. Humans were there. A small force. Insignificant. We outnumbered you 50-1. It should have been a slaughter. A footnote in the campaign records. I remember. Firebase Delta. 47 Marines. 3 days. We held that bunker for 3 days against an entire Vraxian assault force. Held it until evacuation, until everyone who could be saved was saved. Then we held it longer, because that's what we do. Only 6 of us made it out. You fought like you were already dead, Skaresh says. Like the outcome didn't matter. Like victory was impossible, but you'd fight anyway. I watched humans drag wounded through plasma fire. Watched you share your last rations with casualties you knew wouldn't survive. Watched you sing. In the middle of battle, you sang. She looks at me, and I realized I didn't understand you at all. I reported it, called it an anomaly, requested further study. My superiors dismissed it, said humans were desperate, said we were seeing the dying throes of an inferior species. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. So you asked questions. So I asked questions, she confirms. Why do they fight? What drives them? What do they have that we don't? My family called it obsession, said I was compromised, corrupted. They sent me to the outer colonies, away from the core worlds, away from anything important, a punishment. She closes her eyes. Then they decided even that was too much, that my questions were too dangerous, that I might spread doubt, weakness. So they arranged an accident, an attack, made it look like pirates. Your own family tried to kill you. Not just my family, the Empire, the entire system, because I asked if conquest was enough, if dominance was purpose, if there was something more. I sit down beside her, close enough to share warmth. And what did you decide? I decided I don't know, she says. But I wanted to find out. And that was unforgivable. We sit in silence. The chemical fire burns down. Outside, the wind howls like something dying. I'm cold, so cold, but I don't move, neither does she. On Earth, I say eventually, we have a saying. It's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. What does that mean? It means asking questions is brave. It means doubt is the beginning of wisdom. It means the people who want to understand are the ones worth saving, even if they've done terrible things. I think about that, about Kellys, about the colonies, about the files. I don't know, I admit. Maybe not. But I think people can change. I think they can be better, if they want to be. Do you think I can? I look at her, really look at her, past the scales, past the predator's eyes, past the heritage of conquest and cruelty. I see someone who asked questions no one wanted answered. Someone who challenged an empire and paid the price. Someone who's afraid. Someone who's trying. Yeah, I say. I think you can. She turns her head, looks at me. Something shifts in her expression. Why did you really save me, Marcus Webb? I told you you were bleeding. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. She reaches out. Slowly, carefully, her clawed hand covers mine. The scales are cold, rough, nothing like human skin, but the gesture is universal. Thank you, she says. 2 words, simple, but coming from a Vraxian, from a species that considers gratitude a weakness. It means everything. Don't thank me yet, I say. We're still dying on an ice planet. Yes, but not alone. No, I agree, not alone. We rest for a few hours, take turns keeping watch. Not that there's much to watch for. The interceptors never came after us. Either they assumed we died in the crash, or they're searching the wrong area. Either way, we're alone out here. Just snow and ice and the slow countdown to death. Morning comes, if you can call it that. The sky lightens to a bruised purple. The wind drops. I help Skaresh to her feet. She's weaker, paler, the infection is spreading, but she's still conscious, still moving. North, she asks. North, I confirm. We walk, slow, painful. Every step is an effort. My exosuit's servos are failing one by one. Soon I'll be carrying her weight without assistance. I'm not sure I can, but I'll try. Around midday, we find something. Tracks in the snow. Recent, large, some kind of vehicle. Crawler, maybe. Something with treads. Who would be out here? Skaresh asks. I don't know. We follow the tracks. Don't have much choice. Maybe it's rescue, maybe it's death. Either way, it's something. Better than freezing slowly. 2 hours later, we see it. A structure, half buried in snow, metal, industrial, some kind of research station or mining outpost, abandoned by the look of it, but it's shelter, it's walls, it's a chance. We reach the airlock. It's sealed, but not locked. The mechanism is old, mechanical. I force it open with the exosuit's last functioning servo. The actuator burns out. Doesn't matter. We're inside. The station is dead. No power. No heat. No life support. But it's out of the wind. That's enough. I find a corner that's defensible. Help Skaresh down. She's barely conscious now. The walk took everything she had. I search the station, find emergency rations, water recyclers that might still work, medical supplies, human supplies. This was a research station. Old. Maybe decades old. Probably from the early expansion era. I bring what I can carry back to our corner. Start another chemical fire. Give Skaresh the last of my painkillers. Check her wounds. The infection is bad. Black spreading across her scales. Fever setting in. She's dying. Hours, not days. I sit beside her, hold her hand. There's nothing else I can do. Marcus, she whispers, I'm here. I don't want to die. I know. I'm afraid. That's okay. Being afraid is okay. She opens her eyes, looks at me. Is this what it means to be human? To care even when it's pointless? To hope even when it's hopeless? Yeah, I say. I guess it is. She smiles. It's a terrible smile, full of teeth, but genuine. Then maybe being human isn't so bad. Maybe not. She closes her eyes. Her breathing slows. I think she's dying. Think this is it, but then she speaks again. If I survive this, if somehow, impossibly, I live, I will remember this. I will remember you. And I will be better. I promise. I believe you. Why? Because you asked the question, I say. Because you wanted to know. Because you're here. That's enough. She squeezes my hand. Weak, but deliberate. Thank you, Marcus Webb, for showing me what it means to be more than what I was made to be. I don't answer. Just sit with her. In the cold, in the darkness, waiting for the end. That's when I hear it. The sound of engines. I move to the window. Through the frozen glass, I see lights. 3 ships, Vraxian design, landing craft, not interceptors. They're setting down near the station. Troops deploying, 20, maybe 30. Imperial Guard by the armor configuration. Elite. Dangerous. They found us. Skaresh is unconscious again. Can't move, can't fight, can't run. I check my weapons. Sidearm with half a magazine, combat knife. That's it. Against 30 Vraxian Imperial Guards. The math is bad. I could leave, slip out the back. They're here for her, not me. I could disappear into the ice. Probably still die, but maybe not. Maybe I'd find a way. Maybe I'd survive. I look at her. At the princess who asked the wrong questions, who challenged an empire, who's afraid to go home. I check my weapon, make sure the safety's off. Then I wait. They breach the airlock within minutes. Efficient, professional, no wasted movement. They sweep the station room by room. It's only a matter of time before they find us. I position myself in front of Skaresh. Best defensive position I can manage, corner angle, limited approach vector. They'll have to come at me 1 or 2 at a time. Won't matter, but I'll make it expensive. The door opens. 6 guards enter, weapons raised. They see me, see her behind me, stop. The lead guard's helmet retracts. I see his face, scaled, scarred, old, a veteran. He looks at me, at my stance, at the weapon in my hand. Then he does something I don't expect. He lowers his rifle. "Stand aside, human," he says. His translator is military grade. Perfect inflection. "This is Vraxian business. You need not die here." Can't do that. She is marked for execution. Imperial decree. Nothing you do will change this. Maybe not. But I gave my word. He tilts his head, studying me. You would die for her. For a Vraxian. For an enemy. She's not my enemy. She commanded the force that killed your people on Kelrath 9. So he knows. Knows who I am. Knows what happened. Knows and still offering me a way out. I know, I say. Then why protect her? Because she's trying to be better. Because she asked questions. Because someone has to draw the line somewhere, or none of this means anything. The old guard is quiet. Then he does something that shocks me. He turns to his squad. "Lower weapons," he orders. They hesitate, then comply. Rifles down, safety's on. The guard walks forward, slow, non-threatening, stops 3 meters away. "My name is Commander Vrakesh," he says. "I have served the Empire for 40 cycles. I have conquered 12 worlds. I have killed more enemies than I can count, and I have never questioned my orders until now." He looks past me, at Skaresh. The princess spoke heresy. She questioned the purpose of our expansion. She suggested that endless conquest might not be the only path. For this, she was marked for death. Not because she was wrong, but because she might be right. Because if others started asking the same questions, the empire would fracture, the system would collapse. "So you're here to kill her?" "I am here to follow my orders," Vrakesh says. "But I am also here because I wanted to see, to understand. What could make a human fight so hard for one of us? What could make a dying soldier defend his people's enemy? I told you I gave my word." "Words," he says. "Humans put such weight on words. We abandoned such concepts generations ago. Promises, honor, loyalty beyond function. We bred them out, called them inefficient, called them weakness." He pauses. Perhaps we were wrong. Behind him, the guards shift. Uncomfortable. This isn't how Vraxians talk. Isn't how they think. But Vrakesh is old. Respected. They wait. "I have studied your species," Vrakesh continues. "Since Kelrath 9, since we first encountered your kind, you are physically weaker than us. Your technology is inferior. Your territory is insignificant. By every measure, you should have been absorbed or eliminated long ago. And yet you endure. You fight. You survive. Not because you're strong, but because you refuse to abandon each other. Because you care about things that have no tactical value. Because you make promises and keep them even when it costs everything." He looks at me. "That is your strength, and we fear it, not because we don't understand it, but because we remember what we gave up to become what we are, and we see in you what we might have been. Then let her go." "I cannot. My orders." "Your orders are to kill someone for asking questions, for wanting to be better. Is that really the empire you want to serve?" "What I want is irrelevant." "No," I say. "It's the only thing that matters. You said you've never questioned your orders, but you're questioning them now. I can see it. So what do you want?" Vrakesh is silent for a long moment. The station creaks, wind howls outside. His guards wait, uncertain, looking to him for guidance, for certainty, for the cold logic they were raised with. "I want," he says slowly, "to understand what it means to choose mercy over duty, to value a life over orders, to be something other than what I was made to be. Then choose. He looks at me, at Skaresh, at his guards. I see the war happening behind those eyes. Generations of conditioning, of training, of absolute obedience to the Empire's will, against something else, something older, something they tried to breed out but couldn't quite kill. He makes his decision. Medical team, he calls. Attend to the princess. Full treatment protocol. Save her life. The guards stare. One of them steps forward. Commander, our orders have changed, Vraxian says. His voice is iron. Final. The princess was attacked by pirates. We arrived too late to prevent her injury, but in time to save her life. She was never with the human. The human was never here. This conversation never happened. But command will receive my report. They will accept it, because I have served for 40 cycles without question, because my word has never been doubted, because they have no reason to suspect otherwise. And if they do, he bares his teeth. I am old. I have killed enough for the Empire. Let them try me for treason if they wish. I will die with something other than obedience on my conscience. The guards exchange looks. Then, one by one, they nod, some reluctant, some uncertain, but all accepting. The medical team moves forward. I step aside. Let them work. They're good, professional. Within minutes they have Skaresh stabilized. Portable field hospital. Vraxian medical technology is advanced, far beyond what humans have. She'll live. I feel the tension drain out of me. The adrenaline crash. I sink down against the wall, realize how close I came to dying here, how close we both came. Vraxian approaches, holds out a clawed hand. I take it. His grip is strong, careful, a warrior's handshake. You are wounded, he observes. I'll manage. No, you will be treated. We have medical facilities aboard the landing craft. We can stabilize you, transport you to a neutral station. From there, you can make your way back to your people. Why are you helping me? Because you showed me something I thought was lost, Vraxian says, and because the princess was right. We have been asking the wrong questions, building the wrong empire. Perhaps it is time to learn from those who still remember what it means to be something other than predators. They take me aboard one of the landing craft. The medical team works on me alongside Skaresh. The irony isn't lost on me. Human soldier and Vraxian princess, side by side, being saved by the empire that wanted them both dead. The antibiotics kick in, the warmth of the ship, the pain fading. I feel myself drifting, but before I lose consciousness, I see Skaresh, awake, looking at me. She's weak, pale, but alive. She mouths 2 words, "Thank you." I nod, then darkness takes me. I wake up 3 days later in a medical facility, neutral station, somewhere in unclaimed space. The Vraxians kept their word, fixed me up, didn't ask questions, didn't take me prisoner, just healed me and left. There's a message waiting. Encrypted. Vraxian military code. I open it. It's from Skaresh. Marcus Webb, I am alive because of you. I am free because of you. I have been given a second chance because you showed me there is another way. Commander Vraxian has helped me disappear. I will not return to the Empire, not to the life I knew. I will find another path, build something different. And when I do, I will remember the human who kept his promise, who showed me that strength without compassion is just cruelty, that power without purpose is just destruction, that an empire built on fear will always be less than a single act of kindness. I do not know if we will meet again, but know this: you have changed me, changed what I believe is possible, changed what I will fight for. And if the day comes when humanity needs an ally, when Earth faces the darkness, there will be at least one Vraxian who remembers what it means to be more than a predator. Be well, Marcus Webb, and thank you for not taking me back. I read it 3 times. Then I delete it. Some secrets are too dangerous to keep. But I remember. I spend 2 weeks in recovery. Then a human frigate picks me up. Quiet extraction, no fanfare. Back to Firebase Gamma. Back to the 47th. Back to the war that never ended. Command debriefs me. I tell them the princess died in the crash, that I survived by luck, that the Vraxians never found me. They believe it, or pretend to. Either way, they don't press. Life goes on. But sometimes, late at night, I think about her, about the princess who asked the wrong questions, about the commander who chose mercy over duty, about the moment when we sat in that frozen cave and I saw a predator decide to be something else. The galaxy is vast, filled with empires and wars and species that hate each other for reasons they've forgotten, filled with cruelty and calculation and cold logic. But it's also filled with moments like that, small acts of defiance, tiny rebellions against what we're supposed to be, sparks of something better. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's what it means to be human, to look at the math and ignore it, to see the logical choice and make a different one, to keep promises that cost everything and gain nothing except the knowledge that we tried, that we cared, that we chose to be more than what survival demanded. The war continues. The Vraxian Empire still expands. We still fight them. Still die, still struggle against the darkness. But somewhere out there, beyond the front lines, beyond the fleets and the battles and the endless calculation of power, there's a Vraxian princess who learned that conquest isn't the only way, that strength can be gentle, that mercy is bravery. And there's a commander who finally questioned his orders, and there's a soldier who kept his word. Maybe it won't change anything, maybe the empires will keep colliding, maybe we're all just delaying the inevitable. But I don't think so. I think every choice matters. Every moment when someone decides to be kind instead of cruel, to help instead of hurt, to ask questions instead of accepting answers. I think that's how you win wars. Not with superior firepower, not with tactical brilliance, not with overwhelming force, but by refusing to become the monsters you're fighting, by staying human when humanity costs the most, by drawing lines and holding them even when you're outnumbered and outgunned and everyone tells you it's pointless, because it's not pointless. It never is. 6 months later, I receive another encrypted message, different source, same Vraxian code. It's brief. A resistance grows. Those who question, those who want more, those who remember there are alternatives to endless conquest. We are small, we are few, but we are learning. Thank you for the lesson. No signature, no return address, no way to verify it's real, but I believe it. Because I was there when a Vraxian princess asked the wrong questions, when a Vraxian commander chose mercy, when a human soldier decided that some promises are worth dying for. And if that can happen once, on a frozen moon in the middle of nowhere, then maybe it can happen again. Maybe it's already happening. Maybe somewhere in the vast darkness of space, small rebellions are spreading, small acts of kindness rippling outward. Maybe humanity's greatest weapon isn't our weapons at all. Maybe it's just the stubborn, stupid, beautiful refusal to give up on each other, even when we should, especially then. I finish my shift, log off, head to the barracks. Tomorrow there will be more battles, more briefings, more impossible odds. But tonight, I sleep knowing that somewhere out there, a princess learned to ask questions, a commander learned to choose, and a soldier kept his word. And in a galaxy built on cruelty and calculation, that's everything.